Have you ever wondered how Scrum teams manage to keep their work organized and transparent? The secret lies in Scrum artifacts. These are tangible byproducts that provide a clear picture of the work being done, the progress made, and the goals to be achieved. Acting as information radiators, they allow the Scrum team and stakeholders to understand and track the project's trajectory effectively. In the Scrum framework, there are three main artifacts that play a crucial role: the Product Backlog, the Sprint Backlog, and the Increment. The Product Backlog is a prioritized list of all desired work on the product, while the Sprint Backlog is a subset of these items selected for the current sprint. Lastly, the Increment is the sum of all completed Product Backlog items at the end of a sprint, representing a potentially shippable product increment. Now, let's dive deeper into each of these Scrum artifacts. First on the list is the Product Backlog, a comprehensive list of all desired work on the product. Think of it as a roadmap guiding us towards our final product. It's a living document, constantly evolving as the product and market requirements shift. So, what goes into the Product Backlog? It's a collection of features, enhancements, bug fixes, and other requirements that have been identified by the product owner and stakeholders. It's not just a laundry list of tasks, though. Each item in the backlog, known as a Product Backlog item or PBI, is a concise description of a feature or a requirement, providing enough detail to enable the development team to make a reasonable estimate of the effort required to complete it. Now, the Product Backlog isn't a static document. It's an ever-evolving list that's continuously updated and prioritized. And the person responsible for its upkeep? That's the product owner. They are in charge of managing the backlog, ensuring that the items are clear, actionable, and aligned with the business goals. But how do we prioritize the Product Backlog items? Well, they're ordered based on their value, dependencies, and other considerations. The highest priority items are those that deliver the most value to the product. They're the ones that get worked on first. Now, this doesn't mean that lower priority items are ignored, they're just tackled later, once the high-value items have been completed. Refining the Product Backlog is a regular activity. It involves breaking down large items into smaller, manageable tasks and ensuring they're appropriately prioritized. This process is collaborative, involving the product owner, the development team, and often the stakeholders too. This way, everyone has a clear understanding of what needs to be done and why. But remember, the Product Backlog isn't just a to-do list. It's a strategic tool that helps align the team with the business goals and adapt to changing requirements. It's the foundation of any Scrum project. A well-groomed Product Backlog is crucial for a successful Scrum project. Now let's move on to the Sprint Backlog. Next up is the Sprint Backlog, a subset of the Product Backlog items selected for the current sprint. Think of it as the team's game plan for the upcoming sprint, outlining the tasks that need to be accomplished to achieve the sprint goal. The Sprint Backlog is born during the sprint planning event. The development team comes together to cherry-pick the most valuable items from the Product Backlog. They collaborate, discuss, and finally decide on what to include in the Sprint Backlog. This process is guided by the sprint goal, a shared objective that gives direction and purpose to the team's efforts. Now, the Sprint Backlog isn't a static document. It's a living, breathing entity that evolves as the sprint progresses. Tasks get added, removed, or updated based on the changing realities on the ground. This dynamism is the Sprint Backlog superpower, allowing the team to adapt swiftly to new information or unforeseen obstacles. But how do we manage this ever-changing Sprint Backlog? Well, it's all about self-organization. The development team takes ownership of the tasks. They decide who does what and when, based on their skills, capacity, and the task's complexity. They collaborate closely, helping each other out and sharing knowledge. This self-organization fosters a sense of collective responsibility and promotes synergy within the team. Remember, the Sprint Backlog is more than just a to-do list. It's a manifestation of the team's commitment to delivering value. Each task represents a piece of the puzzle, contributing to the creation of a potentially shippable product increment by the end of the sprint. To keep the Sprint Backlog in check, the team conducts a daily Scrum meeting. This is a quick huddle where the team reviews progress, discusses challenges, and plans for the day. This daily inspection and adaptation ensure that the team stays on track and that the Sprint Backlog remains relevant and actionable. Effectively managing the Sprint Backlog is key to delivering value within each sprint. Now let's talk about the Increment. Last but not least, we have the Increment, the sum of all completed Product Backlog items at the end of a sprint. The Increment is the tangible output, the fruit of the team's labor, and it serves a fundamental purpose in the Scrum framework. The increment is more than just a collection of completed tasks. It represents a potentially shippable product increment, embodying real value that can be delivered to the customer. The increment is integrated with all previous increments, building upon the work that's been done and propelling the product forward, sprint by sprint. But what does it mean for an increment to be potentially shippable? It means that the increment is complete, functional, and usable. It's not a half-baked prototype, but a fully cooked morsel of value, ready to be served to the customer. It fulfills the definition of done, a set of criteria established by the Scrum team to ensure that each increment meets the required standards for quality. But the journey of the increment doesn't end at the finish line of a sprint. During the sprint review event, the increment is put under the microscope. This is the time for inspection and adaptation, the moment of truth, where the increment is reviewed and scrutinized. The team gathers feedback from stakeholders, learning from their insights and perspectives. This feedback informs future iterations, guiding the direction of the product and the work of the team. At 100 Degrees Global, we emphasize the importance of delivering high-quality increments. We foster a culture of continuous improvement, striving for excellence in every sprint. Our coaches guide individuals in defining and adhering to a clear definition of done, reinforcing the standards for completeness, functionality, and usability. Delivering high-quality increments is at the heart of Scrum. By understanding and effectively utilizing these Scrum artifacts, you can drive value delivery and achieve success as a Scrum Master. Remember, the increment is the embodiment of your team's progress, the manifestation of your hard work, and the catalyst for your product's evolution.